Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and I hope that you guys are all having a good day. Um, this just bothered me a lot, and so I thought I'd start with this to get it out of the way. But I want people to know what's going on if you haven't heard this, because I think it's important with so many stray animals and with so many people that care so much about animals that they take them to like the no-kill shelters where they're not euthanizing animals. There's actually a supposed no-kill shelter in um, California, and this Shannon Miranda um, is under investigation. And I guess they're saying more than 100 dogs were found dead at an animal rescue shelter in California. 600 dog collars were found in the area. And it says 731 dogs placed in their care are missing. And the thing is that this stuff needs to be talked about because, and if we can take in an animal, dogs are important. We have a real heart for dogs, but I love animals in general. I mean, if you follow me on X, I post animal videos all the time. Like I'm a big animal lover, but I have a real big heart for dogs. I've grown up around dogs quite a bit, and um, there was in Florida, there was a vet that was making animal snuff films. We'll say we'll put it in a actually relatively light way, but he was making animal snuff films and selling it. Man, there was a woman that was paying people to make animal snuff films as well, and she was selling it online. Like this is violent, disgusting behavior. And the thing is that if there's a person that that would hurt an animal, that would hit an animal, and I mean just like hit an animal and hurt them, and take their anger out on them and abuse an animal, that person would do the same thing to a child. The same thing to a child. And it's the same kind of complex mentally that where that stuff comes from, you know. And it's stuff that like serial killers are made out of and stuff like a lot of those serial killers that they start off as supposed animal abusers and things like that, and it turns into horrible violent things. And it just really makes me sad. And this is the guy that is doing it, that's done this to these dogs, that owns this shelter in California. I don't know. I don't think they've even released the shelter or his name yet. Otherwise, I'd put it out there. So I wanted to start off with that if you are going to take an animal to the shelter, please know what's going on. Like, investigate the shelter a little bit. Like, we need more no-kill shelters, and we need people to donate to no-kill shelters to help keep animal alive, keep the animals alive. It's really sad what's happening, and we're supposed to be good stewards of God's creation, and we're supposed to be people who love dogs and love animals and love cats, and not treat them unfairly and abuse them. Like, if you got to hunt for food, you got to do what you got to do. All right. It's just it's just we need, there has to be food on the table, of course, but for this to happen is an absolute travesty. So I wanted to start off with that and get that out of the way, because it's heart wrenching for me to see. Hold on. Anyways, all right, share the next screen here. So I wanted to start off with this video. Hold on. This video of Elon Musk's cyber cab. I mean, there is no seat belt, or sorry, there's no steering wheel. I meant to say there's no foot pedals, nothing. You are just in this thing. I don't even see a radio. It's probably through the LCD screen. But I mean, this is insane that this is going on. And back in 1933, there were 7 visions. And I believe in prophecy. It says in the Bible to despise not prophesying. And when they're accurate, right? A prophet of God is accurate, right? And the reason I'm even mentioning this, because I rarely bring up, prophets and prophetesses, which I do believe they exist, okay? I really don't bring it up a whole lot because there are a lot of people claiming to be and aren't, especially on YouTube. Especially on YouTube. They'll try to cram fit something and try to force it to fit and try to make something out to be something that it wasn't. But ultimately, there are real prophets and prophetesses out there. And so I want to make that very clear before I read this. And I do believe that this man is one of them. And there were 7 visions that were given to Marion William Branham in 1933. Very key, 1933. Long time ago, man. Long time ago. Almost 100 years ago. Just shy, just a little bit shy of 100 years. All right. And there was, out of these 7 visions, there's been quite a few that have come to pass. I want to read the visions to you and then tell you the context of them and then tell you which ones have obviously been fulfilled if you don't already know by me reading these to you. But Giuseppe Mussolini, he said, would invade Ethiopia and that nation would fall at his steps. Marion William Branham said Mussolini would come to a horrible end with his own people turning on him. This was the leader of Italy there, obviously. An Austrian named Adolf, this is number 2 here. Listen to this. This is pretty wild. All right. He says an Austrian named Adolf Hitler and would rise as dictator over Germany. I mean, come on. You don't think that's accurate, right? You don't think that's accurate? It's absolutely accurate. He says, so this is prophecy number 2. An Austrian named Adolf Hitler would rise as dictator over Germany and draw the world into war. It showed the Siegfried Line and the American troops having a terrible time, and Hitler would come to a mysterious end. Well, the mysterious end, a lot of people believe that he committed suicide, but actually, there's a whole conspiracy where they've proven he spent out the rest of his days. He had a body double, and he spent out the rest of his days in South America. This is a solid fact, and if you watch this channel, you know you can trust me. I'm not going to sit here and mislead people and all that stuff. All right. Real quick, Haley Trust in Christ says, I Googled it and it looks like it was, in fact, Miranda's Rescue in California. So there's that was the animal shelter that was doing that. Miranda's Rescue in California. So if you want to give them a phone call. Anyways, so Marion William Branham said Mussolini would invade Ethiopia. The nation would follow the steps. Mussolini would come to a horrible end with his own people turning on him. Then prophecy number 2, an Austrian named Adolf Hitler would rise as dictator over Germany, would draw the world into war, not just Germany, but the world into war. It showed the Siegfried Line and American troops having a terrible time. Hitler would come to a mysterious end. Okay. And then number 3 is there would be 3 great isms: fascism, Nazism, and communism. This sounds very hand in hand with like Albert Pike's 3 World Wars, right? Just putting that out there. But it says the first 2 would be swallowed up into the third. So fascism and Nazism would be swallowed up by communism, and that you would eventually just have the communism. Okay. And we have communism just blowing up in America on the college campuses, just even across the globe. You have people who think communism is cool. They've been so propagandized that they think that the Jews are responsible for everything and that communism is awesome and Adolf Hitler was a good person. There is a whole side of people out there like Nick Fuentes. What an idiot. What a moron. All right. If you know anybody that watches Nick Fuentes, you might as well just throw their opinion out the door. Do the things. He even says he loves Jeffrey Epstein, just putting it out there. Right. I heard him say it with my own ears. All right. And so these people, they're closet communists. And so anyways, these 2 isms, are supposed to be swallowed up by communism. And then Marion William Branham was told by God to watch Russia. Keep your eye on the King of the North, is what Marion William Branham said. Now look at what Russia's done with the Ukraine. And I mean the violence that I've seen recently coming out of Russia and Ukraine. They're firing. It's like almost like they've kept it secret for a while, but then all of a sudden, just the tremendous amount of violence that is coming out, the video footage, and just it's gnarly, man, gnarly. Let me tell you. So that was number 3. Number 4 is great advances in science after the Second World War. Then, symbolized by an egg-shaped plastic bubble-topped car running down beautiful highways under remote control. No steering wheel. No steering wheel. And the occupants were seated in the car playing a game to amuse themselves. So he was literally saying that he was shown by God in prophecy number 4 that there would be driverless cars. And look what you're watching right now. Look what you're watching right now on the computer. Well, it's a computer, but some of you watch it on TV. So, but anyways, so that's number 4. Now, check this out. And this is going to be wild. This is going to be wild, and don't get offended. This was written in 1933. You have to understand the mentality of, things back then. Okay, just putting it out there before I say this. But prophecy number 5 is a moral problem of the age centering mostly around women. All right? Women wearing revealing clothing. Okay? And it said he's talking about terrible perversion. But it's on both sides of the coin. Don't let me wrong. But he also said that women would start dressing like men and adopting men's clothing. But then eventually, and he even said they'd cut their hair short and everything. And he said eventually they would go into a state of undress. Just wait until I show you what I'm going to show you today. In fact, I could actually do this because he says going into a state of undress. And this is blurred out, but I will give you a heads up. There is some nudity some blurred nudity I'm about to show. All right, but I kid you not. Look at this, right? So in Seattle, Washington, and I had to do this a specific way. You know what I mean? I had to do this a specific way. I'm not going to show you the video because I don't want to show video footage of children playing next to these nude adults. Okay, but the truth is, in this video footage that you're seeing right here in front of you, it's a still of it. All right, and I had to show it from the Alex Jones Live, page here because it's blurred out, and all the rest all over the internet. You see stuff you don't want to see. Trust me, okay. And so, but I counted 8 children. There's this circle, this like sculpture that's spewing out water, and it's hot, so everybody, all of that stuff. Hold on one second here. I don't understand here. Hold on one second. Yeah, and so like here's the thing, and I feel like there's people directing, kind of, talking in the live chat and like getting off topic a little bit. And if people need to contact me and email and talk to me about it, and I'll pray and all that stuff. And if I feel that I need to go live about it, you know what I mean, I definitely will. You know what I mean? But if you'd contact me, that'd mean a lot. Anyway, so there's like 8 children playing around this ring where they have this barrier, this metal barrier, you see, and there is full male and full female nudity, all right, that is centered around these kids. In Oregon, and I don't know about Washington State, and I've seen videos where, a dad called the police on a man that was naked in front of his child, and the police told him that, there is nothing that the police can do as long as it's not, sexual, right? I'm sorry, but the human body in general showing nudity. It even says in the Bible not to look upon your elders naked. So we're not, little kids are not supposed to see adults naked. This is, again, those that say evil is good and that good is evil, right? And this is that mentality creeping in more and more, that Sodom and Gomorrah mentality more and more. Anyways, so yeah, in this, there's like 8 children playing in the same water, and I mean just as close to the barrier. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nude adults, all of them men, except for this one woman that you're seeing in the picture here. All right, and this really bothers me because it's not just that, and I have to keep it still here, but it's parades like this. All right, and on the sidelines, here, you have children. I'm trying to switch to a better picture here because nobody wants to see even blurred out crap like that. But they have children, and I mean, like, if the camera pans over to the left even just a little bit, right? You have like 5 or 6 children right there next to this bicyclist that's naked, and it's evil. And then you have the San Francisco choir. This is one of the guys from the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir, where in the lyrics of the song, they're saying, "We're coming for your children." And then there's all these parades. Look at that smug smile, man. Yeah, here's all the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir, and they found that multiple of these men are actually pedophiles, convicted sexual predators that are on the sex offenders list, that are singing this song, "We're coming for your children." You could just go to like Twitter X or whatever and look up, for instance, San Francisco Gay Men's Choir, "We're coming for your children." And more than likely a video will pop up where they're investigating these men that are a part of this. And so then there's parades where they're saying, "We're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children." And there's multiple videos of this. So, this is an absolute out of control situation. But my point is, all right, is that Marion William Branham is talking about women being in a state of undress. It's talking about it publicly. You know what I'm saying? And he's talking about terrible perversion and moral plight of the world, is what Marion William Branham says for the 5th prophecy. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you, I have a theory here, right? I have a theory here that coming up. All right? That's kind of out there, all right? And it's a theory. It's not even my opinion. It's just a theory. It's like a, 10% out of 100 sort of theory, all right? But I'm putting it out there. All right? The 6th prophecy, listen to this, right? "A most beautiful but cruel woman would arise in America. She would hold the people in her complete power." He believed this might be the rise of the Roman Catholic Church. And I'm going to be honest with you, he's not necessarily off there. That's another theory, right? Okay, because the Roman Catholic Church can represent like a whore of Babylon, a perverse church. They're a bunch of pedophiles. And I know for a fact the new pope is a pedophile. I forgot the guy's name. It's Kevin something or other. He's got actual documentation that this new pope took part in pedophile rituals at the Vatican in Italy. All right, so that's solidified in my mind. Just a religion of nasty perverseness, and I think Bill Schnoebelen titled it "Trans-Yugothian Magic." So, like when you have Freemasons, that they talk about in Freemasonry, the royal secret of Freemasonry. In Roman Catholicism, you have the pedophile priests and cardinals and bishops and pope and all this crap that's going on, right? And then you have the same stuff I have friends that have come out of polygamy cults, okay, where, there's children being abused, and Mormonism and stuff, right? And offshoots of Mormonism, right? And then just all across the board, you have all these religions hurting kids, but The only one they're focusing on is the Jews and the Christians, I sort of see, and that's more of like a public thing. But really, they don't tell you that a part of the core of all these world religions is the abuse of children and the stealing of their innocence, and that the person stealing the innocence might live longer, stealing one's life force. And that's what it comes down to. And it's black magic 110%, but white magic is no different. You know what I mean? It's no different. It's still satanic and still witchcraft. It's all part of it. You know what I mean? But they're just not abusing children. Okay, I'm sure there's even some white witches and white warlocks that do abuse children as part of their rituals. But I'm saying, that side of the coin is not usually the side that would do that, but still going against biblical concepts, right? But so all across the board, you have this abuse of children, the abuse of children, the abuse of children. Anyways, I'm digressing here. I want to get back to this. But the Roman Catholic Church can be seen as like a female, and we're being invaded by Jesuits right and left. Right and left. Okay? And so he's saying that he believed that this might be the rise of the Roman Catholic Church, but noted it could possibly be a physical woman rising in great power in America due to a popular vote. And he later referenced a woman as president or a great ruler before the United States' annihilation. Right? So here we are. I'll tell you my opinion, and I don't care who gets mad at me and who unsubscribes, right? This is just a theory, and I'll even put out there, this is like a 5% theory in my head. Like, if I had to just all right, let's just spin the chamber, and, we're just going to, point the gun and try to shoot the target. I don't know if it's going to go off. I don't know if I'm going to hit the target. But I'll be honest with you, with everything that's lined up, I think it's Erica Kirk. I think it's Erica Kirk that'll be the female president. You know what I'm saying? And she's real tight with Trump, and oh man, I could go into it. But I honestly think Erica Kirk does have a huge part to play in Charlie Kirk's death. All right, I do believe that to a certain level. Someone would have to convince me otherwise. I could be convinced otherwise, if I had real good evidence laid out in front of me. But I've dug into it a little bit, and there's just something dark about them eyes, man. You shall know that. You know what I mean? Like you look at that, and it's just like, ooh. You know what I mean? There's something there that just, in my opinion, screams like Jezebel. Jezebel was a man killer. You know what I'm saying? She killed the prophets. She beheaded them. All right. And so I really do think that it's possible. And people have said that Erica Kirk could run for president. And so I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying that this is for sure. All right. So it looks like there's a lot of people, that feel the same way. Justin Britt says Erica and her look is terrifying. Laura says, Josh, I thought the same thing about her. Haley says, totally agree. Global News War said, me and my wife said that also. You know what I mean? So, there's other people that are feeling this and thinking it. But I just immediately what come to my mind is, oh, that Erica Kirk, man. And she has ties to human trafficking. She does. Research it. She has ties to human trafficking. And she has ties to, these beauty pageants and stuff. And that tie into Trump. And just dude, it goes super far back, man. And I think she's MK Ultra. I really do. I think that she is a Manchurian candidate. I really do. And I think she could be the Manchurian candidate. The whole psyop would be that it wasn't a male all along, that it was a female. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's for sure. I'm just putting that out there. Now listen, prophecy number 7 about America says this: a most terrible explosion. The land of America left as smoldering, chaotic ruin with debris, craters, smoke, and no humanity in sight. Utter destruction of the United States. And that's a quote. And so let's go over this again. Mussolini invading Ethiopia. Ethiopia falling at his steps. Mussolini dying in a horrible way by the hand of his own people. Austrian named Adolf Hitler would rise as dictator over Germany, and he would start a world war. Then he talked about there would be 3 great isms: fascism, Nazism, and communism, that would eventually all pull into communism. All right. He said to keep your eye on Russia. All right. Then he said great advances in science would take place, And there would be driverless cars. I showed you that. Then he said that there would be a moral problem of the age centering mostly around women, because women have always been a real like moral foundation throughout history. Women have always really held things together. I did a word search one time when it was talking about the invisible God. It brings that up in the Bible a couple of times. And when I was looking up the word invisible in Hebrew and Greek, and doing a word study, it talked about the love of a mother that holds a household together. You see what I'm saying? And you know what I'm talking about, and so it's like the love of a mother that holds a household together. Women have always really been a stabilizing force for men, because, man, most men would have a really early death if it wasn't for women. Be like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't be jumping off that. You're going to kill yourself. You know what I mean? So this is a thing that is a known fact throughout history, that women have been a stabilizing force. So I think what Marion William Branham is trying to say is that would fall apart as well, and that they would wear less clothing, and that they would adopt men's clothing, cutting their hair, going into a state of undress and terrible perversion. Look at the LGBTQ community and moral plight of the world, is what he says. And then he says a beautiful woman will rise to power in America, and that he doesn't know if this is the Roman Catholic Church or a physical woman, but one of the two. And he later referenced, later on in his life, and maybe he got another word from the Lord, but he later referenced in his life a woman as president or a great ruler before annihilation of America. And a most terrible explosion happening in America, bringing about America's end. So I'm sorry. Here's the thing, right? When you talk about prophets and prophecies, we have to look at accurate prophets and prophecies. And it's funny to me that the ones that where they're accurate, like what you just saw, you know what I mean, like Marion William Branham, and they follow it all the way through, and there's only two that really are left, you know what I mean, to happen. The rest of the 5 of these 7 prophecies have happened, right? And so, you have a lot of people saying this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. But they're not consistently correct throughout their prophecies. Like, you have, and I think that there's some people that do have prophetic giftings, but they're not a prophet, right? So they get it wrong like 75% of the time, and they'll get a couple of things right. And it's really a dice roll when you listen to them, whether something's going to happen or not. But there are some people that do get dreams from the Lord, and they feel it's important to share those dreams or visions that they're given. And I'm not going to despise prophesying, but I can tell you right now, there's a lot of false prophets and prophetesses out there, and especially YouTube land and social media in general. All right, you will know them by their fruits. If they are accurate, you will know that they're being given information by the Lord. All right, that's just the facts. All right. Now there is the other side of the coin where you have, the demonic entities that do have plans that they will be working on, and they'll tell their psychics and mediums and all that stuff. And it could seem as if it comes to pass because there was a plan spiritually for it to make something happen. Right. But it's not like some advanced warning or anything like that. This was in 1933, and it's continuing to fulfill itself today in 2026. Okay. That's accurate. That is something that it seems that God had given. Right. So there's lots of prophets and prophetesses out there that are fake phonies, but there are a handful that are very real. And then there are also people that, do have occasional dreams, things like that. I'll be honest with you. I'm no prophet or prophet. I would not want to be a prophet. You know what I'm saying? But I'll tell you right now, I've had a couple of dreams happen. It's like, wow, that happened. Wow, thank you, Jesus. For helping me to see that. Ahead of time, let me know what's going on. And so, I kind of feel like, it's important for us, to test the spirits, to say, hey, is this accurate? And if it's not, then that person probably has, a prophetic, honestly, Laura, the word damn is in the Bible. It literally says damn in the Bible a couple of times. So I'm not too worried about the word damn. You know what I mean? I damn this satanic world all to hell, man. I'll be honest with you. I'll say it with you, Brother XB. I'll be honest with you. My point is that this is a very accurate line of prophecies, and it's talking about a female coming into power. And then through that female coming into power brings about the annihilation of America. So I don't know what's going to happen next, and I don't know who's going to be running for president next. But if a female takes power, boy, oh boy, I'm going to be sweating, man. I'm going to be sweating because I've always been worried about America's judgment before we go home. I pray that's not the case. And I don't think, that it could be that because we're not appointed to God's wrath. But in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, bombs fell. And if, America shot those off and the rapture didn't happen, when two nukes blew up, right? What if there's just say 11 that go off in America or 7? It doesn't necessarily mean a rapture has to happen, with these things taking place. You know what I mean? I guess from what I understand, Israel just leveled a whole area in Lebanon that had underground tunnels and stuff, but they're saying that was the biggest hydrothermal explosion in a long, 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 long time. I don't know if I believe that because I've seen explosions that equate to about what I saw, but you know how they tell you that, Australia is the country that's heating up the most, or, America is the country heating up the most, or, they just switch things out. They just kind of choose whatever, and they throw things out there willy-nilly. But I wanted to put that out there that these, Marion William Branham prophecies are extremely accurate, down to the details. So that tells you a lot. Now, I wanted to bring this up. Hold on, let me share this here. So they're saying, interesting, that they're going to shut off CERN. They're going to shut off CERN. And they're saying that they're not going to turn it back on until the year 2030. Isn't that interesting, man? I wonder what they have planned. But this other post, let me make sure this pops up here. This other post is saying, did you know CERN shut down in 2008, 8 days before the Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy, which caused the largest market collapse at the time? So just putting that out there, that they shut CERN down for a reason, and I don't know what it is, but they're not turning it back on until 2030. And I'm telling you, and it's really interesting, we're getting close to July 4th, and I've been saying something big is about to happen that's going to lead the world into a pitfall of chaos that's going to bring about this Agenda 2030. All right. And I'm trying to get people to understand what I'm talking about. I feel like we're moments away from something that is going to change the face of the world as we know it. I really, truly believe it. And I can't put a timeline on it. I can't say a month. I can't say 2 months. I can't say this year. But what I can tell you is I do believe that something catastrophic is coming to bring about the devastation and the control that they need for Agenda 2030 to be, yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyways, I don't believe it was. I mean, here's the thing: if it was shut down for maintenance and upgrades, it wouldn't be off until 2030. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry to people that just can't get with the program and they got to argue. You know what I mean? But the Great Tribulation is the wrath of God poured out on this earth. People need to read their Bibles. Read your Bible. Read the KJV Bible, and you will find out that the Great Tribulation is the wrath of God pouring out upon the whole earth. Plain and simple. But there's, I would like to see where it's shut down for, man, there's some nasty people in here today. But it's funny, too, because they can tell you it's being shut down for cleaning and maintenance, like some people are saying. But here's the thing. They can tell you anything you want to hear for any excuse it's going to be. But the reality is, when they say that they're going to turn it back on in 2030, that lets me know a lot. And so I believe there's a time of upheaval coming. I really do. I believe there's a time of upheaval coming. And I absolutely believe that, it's going to culminate in 2030. But I just wanted to show that I think it's very interesting that, they're shutting down CERN. And I think it's really interesting. You get, some really silly people out there that will believe really silly explanations for things. It just shows how gullible people are, unfortunately. So the next one I have to show you, and this just really irritates me here, is that the Hamtramck City Council of Michigan voted to allow animal sacrifice for religious purposes in the city. And let me tell you, I thought there was animal abuse stuff, in place to keep people from hurting animals. I think it's disgusting that someone would have to kill for their religion. I really do. I think it's disgusting that someone would have to kill for their religion, and it not have a true purpose. You know what I mean? If it doesn't have a true purpose. And so, it just blows my mind that this is where we're at, that this is where it's going, and I'll be honest with you. They have 2 satanic abortion clinics, and they really protect these 2 satanic abortion clinics. I think one might be in Pennsylvania, possibly, and then I know one is in Arizona. I'm sure they have more now, but I guess you gotta want a satanic abortion, and then what they do is that you get a hold of them, you go through all these, steps and all this stuff, and then eventually they meet with you, and they want to make sure you're a real person before they even give you the address, an address for these satanic clinics. And so and these people turn what's already satanic into a satanic ritual of human sacrifice. They make it a religious thing. And so this is becoming more and more normal, and I'm sure eventually it's going to get to a point where we're going to see public executions again and things like that. And then eventually in the Great Tribulation, it will eventually end up in, gladiatorial violence, in arenas and things like that, where, people, Christians, things like that are slaughtered like they were back in Rome and in these time frames. You know what I mean? I really am. When I see things like this, it lets me know it's another step towards the direction of, those that, call good evil and evil good. It says, woe to those people in the Bible. You will pay a dear price if you are a person that believes evil is good and that good is evil. It might not be in this life. It might be easy for you right now, but there is a day coming where you will stand before the throne of God, and every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that Jesus is Lord, and you will be judged for your actions if you did not accept the atoning blood of Jesus Christ. There should only be one sacrifice, and that's Jesus Christ. That's it. And he rose from the grave. So I think it's wrong that Michigan is doing this. It really bothers me. I think it's wrong that people are, and I'm just asking if anybody's getting nasty in here, mods, just start booting people. Just block them, hide them from channel, because I don't have time for those people that aren't here to be, a productive part of things. It's okay to have a differing opinion. If you have a differing opinion, that's fine. But don't argue about it. State your opinion. And if I don't think it's something that should be in the live chat, I may remove it. But if you continue on, you'll be blocked and you just won't be allowed here. You just won't be allowed here. So, and I really don't care. It's no sweat off, my forehead at all. I'm not here for big numbers. I'm not monetized. I don't make money off of this in any way. I do this out of the kindness of my heart and the love for Jesus. Jesus says, if you love me, you'll feed my sheep. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to warn people of disgusting evil that is going on so we can pray against it. And obviously we've done something today to upset the enemy camp, because, it looks to me like, someone shared probably the video in an enemy camp, forum or, whatever. And it just seems like there's a bunch of people coming in that are nasty. There are a lot of witches and a lot of warlocks and a lot of Satanists and a lot of people who are involved in a lot of that witchcrafty stuff as well that watch this channel. All right. I can promise you that. I promise you. All right. And they need to know about Jesus too. So I'm not hurt. It doesn't, y'all don't scare me. You're not a threat to me. I am protected by Jesus Christ himself. And there ain't nothing going to happen to me that God doesn't allow. All right. And so you can go ahead and, get angry, or you can go ahead and, throw a little temper tantrum, or send me a hateful email, or heck, you could even threaten me, but you'll probably be visited by law enforcement or something of that nature. Or I'll just let God handle you, because it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God, because your God, if you believe in anything different, isn't a living God. So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to move on here. Now this one, and I'm sorry for the clothing. I do have to give you another fair warning. There's a little bit of cleavage in this, but it's not about that. And I want you to pay attention to her face more than anything. Her face has changed. And and now that she's with, someone who I believe is, not only for a fact, I know his dad is a pedophile, because his dad raped one of my friends, Kathy O'Brien, on Mackinac Island. All right. And I exposed that in Mackinac Monarch 1, where, but, hold on one second. I'm going to bring it up here. But Katy Perry, all right, is, come out with this new, video, and I'm not going to play the music, but she's in a church, and the song is called Watch It Burn. All right. And you can burn a building, but you can't stop the church, Satan. You hear me? You can't stop the church. Even in the Great Tribulation, even when all of you cronies are cutting people's heads off because they don't see it your way, you won't be able to stop the church. You won't be able to stop the 144,000 elect that are going to be preaching the name of Jesus Christ, even in the Great Tribulation. You can't stop the advancement of the kingdom to come. You and you sick, disgusting, vile people who have been possessed by demons that get infuriated and angry at everything Christians do. Any good, decent Christians out there, man, you attack. And you want to know what? You don't scare me, you bunch of bullies. And I just want you to know that. All right. I just want you to know that you don't scare me with your stupid spells and your stupid incantations. They fall to the ground, or I pray in the mighty name of Jesus, they come back upon your own head, that your own recompense will be turned upon your own head if you come against me or this channel or any of my moderators or any of my subscribers. In the mighty name of Jesus, I rebuke you, Satan. I rebuke the devil and all principalities and powers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places. We come against all authority of the kingdom of the enemy, and we break that in Jesus' mighty name, and we bind it in Jesus' mighty name, and we cast it back to hell where it comes from in Jesus' mighty name. You get out of my sight, Satan. You have no authority here. You have no authority here. You're not welcome here. All right, now moving on. Katy Perry is, down the line here, she has she pretends like she's got a cigarette in her mouth. There's the one eye symbolism, the left eye, one eye symbolism there. But she's in a church, you can see, in the pews and all that stuff. And the song is called Watch It Burn. And she says, I light a match, throw it hard behind my back, and watch it burn. And so also to note, when Justin Trudeau was prime minister, over 100 churches in Canada were burned or vandalized. And I don't know if you know that this woman right here is dating Justin Trudeau, who Pierre Trudeau was an active pedophile, all right, and abused my friend Kathy O'Brien in the governor's mansion on Mackinac Island in Michigan. He come down from his crap Canada and come down here to hurt children and to party with Gerald Ford and the likes. And so this is what this woman is dating, her son, Justin Trudeau. This is what she's dating, Pierre Trudeau's son, Justin Trudeau. And I rebuke all this satanic bullshit that's coming on. Excuse my language, Lord. I rebuke all this satanic baloney that's coming about. I rebuke it in Jesus' mighty name. And we stand it together in the mighty name of Christ right now. We stand together as a body right now. And we form a chain link fence in the spirit right now. But I remember when I was an artist, there was a guy that I knew that lived down in Arizona that was buying some of my artwork, right? I knew he was not a Christian. You know what I mean? Like I knew, but he was someone that, I still talk to, and I'm not a person that's going to be unreasonable with somebody who believes something else. All right, just as long as you be respectable of what I believe, I'll be respectable of what you believe. But I'll be honest with you, I'm the type of Christian, I'll smack you in the mouth, you come at me, boy. I ain't playing around. All right, and it'll be a hard smack too. I promise you that. Probably a physical one and a spiritual one, because God will come at you next. You come against me. I promise. All right, I'll be honest with you. I could say some stuff that I'm not going to say, but man, God's come after some people that have come after me before, and you'd be surprised what happened to them. I'll say that right now. And I know that the Lord was taking care of me. I know that the Lord had my back. And can anybody raise their hand if the Lord ever had your back? There's lots of Christians in this room today. God having people's backs, all right, in these last days. Amen. Now, this guy that I was selling artwork to, all right, Prince, okay, he got like drunk one night or whatever, and I was talking to him, and I was trying to encourage him and say, hey man, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get through this. You can get sober. I was trying to encourage him. And he just got real uppity, and I'm like, man, I'm sorry, but I can't listen to this anymore. And he's like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, when all the churches are burned, and I felt in the spirit, in the Holy Spirit, that when he said that was a demon talking. And I knew that that's what the enemy has planned, to burn the buildings. You can't stop the physical church. The physical church is a united body. It's a united body, Satan. It's a united body. And here on this channel, the people that come here, we are united. We are united together in Jesus Christ. And there's nothing that you could do to stop it. Nothing. Because God protects this. God protects them. God protects me. And I plead the mighty blood of Jesus over all the people here today. Because it seems like there's just a lot of attacks happening. Just a lot of attacks. But it's no joke. Like they've been burning churches all across the board in the UK and all that stuff. It's like this season, man. And then not only that, but just the attacks on Christians themselves in Nigeria and the Sudan and Syria and China and all over the place. Even in the Ukraine, Christians are being attacked. I mean, it's an evil world we live in right now. And so I ask my brothers and sisters in Christ, the Christians, to understand that just because Jesus is coming soon doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet. So please stay vigilant as well. You know what I mean? Don't fall into any traps. Don't allow the enemy to suck you in. All right. And don't allow the enemy to spring a trap on you unknowingly, man. Pray that the Lord will make your path straight, and that he will guide you, that he will remove all stumbling blocks and all any stony path in your way, that he'll remove that in Jesus' mighty name. I pray that over you and over your life. All right. But anyways, so that's that. So Katy Perry and her boyfriend Justin Trudeau want to burn down churches. Now, I want to go after something here a little bit. There's a little more details, but just like Wayfair, they're working to try to sell children online again. And there's a picture here where let me blow this up here as big as I can get it. You probably can't read it, but right here they're talking about $6,300, and it says 3 year, and it's got a pizza symbol, and it says used. It says purebred white, but it's showing a rabbit, right? So pay attention to that white rabbit, because there could be new symbolism we're seeing that's being used behind the scenes. And so just take note of that in your head, that white rabbit symbolism could be being used to, show something, you know what I mean? All right. So anyways, up here, they were trying to sell it for 6,000 euros, but they knocked the price down to 3,800 euros, and they're talking about 6 years is what it says. And it says very good condition, Littlest Pet Shop, and these are all kids' toys. These are all kids' toys, and so you have this young man that's holding this coin, and the coin is 5,075. I don't know that type of currency, but it's it's almost like they're selling the boy, not the coin. Anyways, there's all these weird, teddy bears, 30,000 euros and all that stuff. It says 1.10 millimeters tall, or meters, sorry, 1.10 meters tall. So that would be 3 foot, like 6 inches or something like that, almost 4 foot tall. I mean, you see what I'm saying? And it says, and sorry for my French here, all right? It says 1.10 meters tall, can blow well, and doesn't something, it says something years old. So here's a teddy bear for 31,500 whatever, that's supposed to be over 3 feet tall, that can blow well. That doesn't jive with me, dude. That doesn't jive with me, dude. It's obvious as day that they are using this new platform to sell children, and it's called Vinted, Vinted, Vinted. And there are hackers that are threatening DDoS attacks after a suspicious UK site, it's from the UK that this is happening, named Vinted, was found with obvious signs of trafficking children right out in plain sight on the open internet. So it's right in your face. It's right in your face here. And it's, yeah, right here, it talks about that it's white. But it says, it's right here, listen to this. Rescued Venezuelan plushie from the earthquake, $3,800, 6 years, very good, white, color white. The brand Littlest Pet Shop. Can you believe this? And I was just telling you the other day that they're kidnapping Venezuelan children. And I just saw a video, and I'm going to be honest with you, I am going to be quite graphic here, and this is for adult ears only, all right? Adult ears only. So there's a video I just saw on X where it was in a Muslim country, and they had a security camera that was fixed, pointing downwards, that was up above like a garage. The garage had like a side door, and I mean, you heard this dude start screaming, and I mean, he is screaming. And the context of the post is that this dad had been hurting his 3 daughters for years. And he had a 4th daughter, and she was 6.5 years old. And he was abusing her. And the older daughters come in and, you know what I'm saying? And he comes out, and I'm talking bleeding, pools of blood behind him. All right. And things were almost not attached. Okay. And so what I'm saying is that this stuff is going on. And I'm telling you, dude, if you're hurting children, man, God is going to come down on you, man. Like, I'm telling you. Like, I know there are people that watch this channel. If there's 11,000 people that watch this channel, there's people here that are doing things they shouldn't do. Maybe not here in the live chat today, but that are following the channel. And I'm telling you, you better turn from your ways, and you better repent. You better repent, because God ain't playing around, man. There's a season coming where God's going to let all these abusers be thrown scattered to the wind. You know what I mean? And it's going to come out. And they just had the MK Ultra hearing. In Washington, D.C. with Representative Luna or whatever. And I'll be honest with you, I have friends that have been victims of Project Monarch and MK Ultra. All right? And they're very educated, and they have an answer for everything if you know them and you get to talk to them personally. Like, for instance, with Kathy O'Brien, everything that woman has told me has checked out. When I go to research it, I find it. And she's just this steel trap of information, just rolling this stuff out, man. And why wasn't she a witness? She's one of America's most famous MK Ultra victims, right? Like, Kathy O'Brien has been around for a long, long time. All right. And they could have asked her to be one of the witnesses. And her own testimony was sealed for reasons of national security. Like, I can even show it to you here. So it's Hold on 1 second. I got to get this down. So right here is Kathy O'Brien's testimony before Congress, and it was sealed and access denied for reasons of national security. True story. It said the documented journey from CIA mind control slave to successful U.S. government whistleblower. And they sealed her testimony, completely sealed it. They don't want the truth to come out. They bring some idiot schmucks that are just some researchers, but they're not bringing the victims out who have been involved in this stuff. And it really upsets me. It really upsets me. You know, you could have had Kathy O'Brien, J.R. Sweet, Fiona Barnett. You could have had Gray. You know what I mean? You could have had any of these people up there that have been through it, that have proof, that have evidence. And you didn't. You had just 3 people that barely knew what they're talking about. They're just researchers. And yeah, there was some okay questions that were asked, but it didn't go nearly where it should have. They're holding back. This is a publicity stunt. There's something more to this, man. It doesn't seem right to me, and I don't like it. I ain't feeling it. And if you can, go watch the MK Ultra hearing. Just go watch it from beginning to end. What's interesting is I always have a way of downloading things. You know, like I have a database of information that I'm collecting that I have external hard drives. You know what I mean? Like I have external hard drives that I have a database on, right? And I kid you not, I got, dude, it's a tremendous amount of information, but I can download anything. I find a way. And even if it's like blocking it, this MK Ultra hearing, I had such a hard time downloading it. I had to play it in StreamYard and record it with StreamYard. That's why it took me a little longer to go live today, but I had to record it with StreamYard to be able to get my own copy of it because I want it recorded. And it was just weird, really weird. I really feel like I believe that, you definitely saw some, because I believe, again, America is going to be judged. I really do. America's going to be judged for their sin. People just, willy-nilly just doing whatever they want, acting like nothing's going to happen, that they're untouchable, man. You're going to catch God's hands, man. You know what I'm saying? You're going to catch God's hands. And when he throws a fist, you're going to feel it. When he puts his fist down and he's had enough, man, when the gavel, comes down and when the judgment's set, dude, and it is going to be wild, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be the most devastating time that the world has ever seen. So, hold on a second. I'm trying to pull something up here. So, and I saw this, you know what I mean? And it just kind of triggered thought, and that's the only reason I'm going to show it. But so, there is the, what do they call it again here? It's the CSX's America 250 train has arrived in Washington, D.C. after traversing the southeast coast of America. Now, I'm going to do something real quick here. I want to look at this too, because I think, and if you look at the colors, red, white, and blue, man, it's red, white, and blue are the colors of this picture. And dude, it's just really weird. This thing just more and more, just is adding up. The ice cube here, where you have, I don't know if it's a remote or whatever, but right near the soccer player at the bottom right, just on the ball up from him, there's an ice cube that's melting. And look at the way that the heat is right now. It's not unbearable. I mean, we've had summers before, but it feels like, I'll be honest with you, it feels like something different is going on right now. The weather feels strange. Everything just feels off. I don't know if you're feeling it, but I'm feeling it. And I know that there's other people personally that I know, that are feeling this just shift in weather patterns and stuff. I honestly believe that the earth is shifting. I think it's reeling to and fro. I think there's a wobble to it that's you know getting worse and worse. The Bible talks about the earth reeling to and fro like a drunkard. It talks about this destabilization taking place. So, I think weather patterns are shifting, and we have that super El Nino coming. I think this summer is going to be gnarly hot, and I think that that's what that represents. But there's so many things on this came out before the news came out, and I could sit here and point it out, like the Neuralink in the brain that controls the remote controller, and now they just come out that people with Neuralink can control video games, and the warfare that's already taken place. You see all the little warfare things going on. I don't even need to go into detail about that. And the missiles back and forth between Iran and America, and then you got the Cake of America 250-year anniversary. You got the missiles standing up behind it. That fist with that handcuff, man, that's stumping me right now, but I don't think it's going to stump us too much longer. But then you got the cargo carrier, the ship, that it kind of, is firing off cannons out the side. And I think that's kind of denoting the war on oil, all right? The war against oil. And then, you have all this different stuff that's happening, and it really lines up, even down to the penny getting taken away. I forget, I think Tractor Supply is saying that they don't take pennies anymore, is what my wife was telling me. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that that's what she said that company has chosen to do, is that they're not taking pennies anymore. Or it was something like that. One of those types of companies anyways, but the penny is devaluing, and on the paper there, you see the stats of it, charting downwards, and and then the obviously the drones and the satellites and all stuff, and it just is, I believe, super accurate. The people that are behind The Economist, and it's a magazine that is by elite for the elite, all right, and that's just the facts. Like, whoever is behind all this knew what was coming. They knew what was coming. And it has that soccer player, and we have the FIFA World Cup, and just like I think 20 days or whatever, I think 19 days or whatever, they're going to be done with the FIFA World Cup. And during the 4th of July celebration, FIFA is going to be a thing. So this is all kind of culminating to this time frame, and because of that, it's like they're getting ready for just huge celebrations and stuff. And they're bringing in, trains that are all painted up, and I'm sure they got all sorts of stuff they're going to flex for America's 250-year anniversary. And, people are already going, nuts about it. You know what I mean? But I am concerned, and I'm not, this is a theory. This is not even, this is not even close to anything that I would know. This is just speculation and theory, but I am very concerned about something happening towards July 4th. We have seen multiple plots and plans during New Year's Eve, even this last year. You know what I'm saying? This last New Year's Eve that we had, and the one before it, where there were planned terror attacks, ricin-laced, candies handed out in New York City, bombs getting set off in multiple locations. In California, there was a plot for that. They were making bombs out in the Mojave Desert. So there's all this stuff going on. And I mean, I'm really concerned that we're leading to something really big on July 4th. And I want to remind people that I did a live last year during July 4th, where they were talking about a military copyrighted patent, okay, that where they have viruses that can be put into fireworks and detonated, and the virus is still active and can fall to the ground. I just want to remind people of that. And I don't know if Ebola is one of those things that they can do that with, but wouldn't it be interesting, them getting this whole Ebola thing going, and then selling a bunch of fireworks from China, which didn't China have 2 biolabs in America, one in Las Vegas and one in California, where Ebola was present? Just saying. But because a lot of our fireworks come from China, true story. These are the facts, okay? And what if China was cooking up Ebola and have this type of patented explosive proof virus that could be put into the mortars and detonated above crowds, and then 20 days later, something could pop off. And not even just that. but terror attacks. How many people hate America, and how many school shootings, store shootings, workplace shootings, all that stuff that have been taking place. How much of this has been going on for so long? And I'll be honest with you, for people that despise America, that hate America, and that hate anything that is part of this government, it is prime time, unfortunately, for something, crazy to happen. And so I want to make it very clear that people should definitely be careful this July 4th. Don't live in fear, pray and ask God if you should, like if you have plans to go do something for July 4th, because it is, a big celebration. I mean, honestly, the most celebrating I want to do is I want to smoke a pork butt, but I really, honestly, am so broke I can't even afford one, honestly, right now. So won't be doing that this year, but would love to. It would be nice because I love pulled pork on 4th of July, man. Just the smell, the cooking and just hanging out. But it's going to be a hot one. It's going to be a hot one as well. So please stay hydrated as well. Super important right now. Stay hydrated. If you have, elderly people that check on them, make sure they're staying hydrated. If you have animals, don't leave them outside, please, man. Like, that's rough, dude. Like, I'll be honest with you. When I put my dog out earlier to go pee, I was going out to check the mail at the same time. I told him go potty, and he went potty. He kind of knew the routine. He's like, man, it's hot out here. I could see him building up a sweat just right off the bat, And but I was like, hey man, go potty, and and he was not feeling it outside because my dog has black fur, and so black absorbs the heat, and so I'll but keep your animals and make sure you're elderly, and keep yourself and your children hydrated during this heat wave. If you're in like the the mid east, northern part of America right now, because we're not used to these temperatures up here, honestly. The heat index is being over 100 and things like that. Like, dude, we're used to sub-zero temperatures, right? So like the coldest that I think I've ever experienced in Michigan is 36 below zero. Like, you can't go outside for 15 minutes and not freeze a piece of your meat, like your nose getting frozen or your fingers or something like that. We're used to things being pretty cold in Michigan, and for things, the heat index to be over 100, man, I'm brutal. It's brutal right now. Like, you can't see it, but I literally right here, I have a portable AC going, and it is the only way I'm able to do this live. If I did not bring this in here and have this going for this live, this lighting creates heating, and the acoustic foam, I have like the acoustic foam up, dude, it is an oven in this studio. Okay. So it's just, I was like, man, I gotta put the air conditioner in here and try to cool it down so I could do this live even. But and same here, Kimberly Price. It's ridiculously hot, can't hardly breathe outside, and that's how I feel too. Like, I'm just trying to bear through the heat, man. And for other people, you know what I mean? They come from hotter places. You're climatized, you know what I mean? And those people that come from hotter places have a hard time handling the winter. I know a few people that will get a hold of me and be like, I can't do winter, I can't do snow, you know what I mean? But they can handle the heat, you know what I'm saying? And so that's awesome, you know what I mean, that you can handle this heat, but I cannot, you know what I mean? So, but please be careful on July 4th, man, because I think that there's a awful lot about to pop off, and I think time is really, really short. We got about 5 months to go. We got like 5 months to go in this year, and just with everything happening, everything that's already happened so far this year, which is a lot. War with Iran, the oil crisis, we could go on and on and on about the things that have happened so far this year. Anything could take place in 5 months, anything. And so, don't count your eggs, your chickens or count your eggs before they hatch. Okay. There's a reason that they say that, because there's a lot of them, that won't hatch. And when they do hatch, some birds don't make it. You know what I mean? I got a buddy that raises quail, and it always bums me out when he's like, oh, I found another egg today and put it in the incubator. And then, when they start hatching, he's like, oh man, this one hatched and that one hatched. And then just all of a sudden he's like, oh man, he's like, I lost one today. And kind of breaks my heart too, because I hate to see any animals dying unless they're being used for, obviously food. So, and being done in a humane way, is important. So, but anyways, it's even getting hot with the AC on in here. So I'm hopping off of here, and I hope y'all have an amazing day. Just please be vigilant. Please be aware. Be in prayer for the children right now, especially in Venezuela. They're getting kidnapped right and left. They're changing the last names of these kids, in trafficking them. And it's just to take advantage of a crisis that a child's in. It just really, really bothers me. Really bothers me. These children have either lost their parents or are already hurting, and then they get thrown into that. Like, come on, we as Christians have got to do something. One thing that I talk often to the survivors that I know, because I'm not only a part of the Watchman community, we'll say, but I'm a part of the survivor community as well, because I myself am a survivor of abuse. Okay, I was born into a Northern Californian cult, and so these people mean a lot to me, and to hear the stuff that they go through, on top of the stuff that that happened in their life that the enemy took advantage of to be able to put them in such a vulnerable position to be abused. Man, we as Christians got to stand up. And I talk often to these survivors, and I say, one thing that really bums me out about the Christian community is that not many are willing to stand up for the children. You know what I mean? Like you could, I all the day long could be, making a documentary or researching all that stuff. But like, it takes funding to go film these things, to actually expose them, to make a documentary. And I'm going after number 2 in the state of Michigan, and the state of Michigan being within the top 10 in the country for human trafficking. And I'll be honest with you, like, there's a few people that have been helping out, but dude, I only need $100 more to finish this investigation. All right. And I can't even come up with it. Like, I don't know how it's going to happen. And then on top of that, I have my StreamYard that I have to cover in September that's coming up. And that's $750. And I don't know what I'm going to do. If I can't pay that, then what happens is it goes back to more of me editing videos and releasing videos that don't have like a live going on. I can't just click a button and go live, and I won't be able to show you pictures. I won't be able to show you clips. I won't be able to show you news or anything like that. And it's just like, dude, it's like, it feels like this grip is being put on the ministry right now. And I want to get these projects done. I would love to release the documentary, in the fall, or possibly sooner. I'm editing the 3rd segment right now. That's a very important segment, and I'm getting ready to start the 4th, and it's moving along, but I have to pay monthly $10 a month for the editor, and I don't even know where I'm going to come up with that. So I have $50 towards the investigation in Grand Rapids. It takes that in gas to get down there, and then I have to pay to get into this place that I'm investigating, and it's a little expensive. So it really sucks, man. So I'm kind of just waiting and being patient upon the Lord, and I'm just going to keep praying. If you could pray with me, and I'm not begging for money, man. I'm just saying the truth. I'm just talking, telling the truth of what's going on with the ministry. There's a lot of expenses coming up, so it stinks. But that if you don't put up things in the storehouse, there's not meat in the Lord's house. You know what I mean? And God promises those that support ministry and that support people that are doing this stuff, that they will have an abundance, that God will give them back. And the only time in the Bible that God says to test him is when it comes to supporting ministries. And even if you don't support this ministry, just being there for other ministries, because ministries can't keep going. There's light bills, there's this, there's that, you know what I mean? There's all sorts of things and expenses that come out to be able to do these sort of things. And it's fun. And it's an amazing thing when people do things for free. But obviously you have to remember to also be there for people that are feeding you as well. All right. I'm not coming down on any people. I'm not trying to complain. I'm just putting that out there. It's been really difficult to finish this documentary. And really, honestly, I'm just waiting on that funding. You know what I mean? And then once I have the funding, and I'm hoping, the reason I say 100 is because I need enough to get into this place. And then for a couple of months of the video editor to be able to finish editing the documentary. It could take another month or 2 to finish editing it, because there's quite a few parts left to do. But something that I do is, in the end of the documentary, in the credit section, when people do support the documentary, I'll put their initials in there because that's a way for me to protect you. If you want your full name in there, I'll put the full name in there if that's what you want. But I do the initials to protect people from the subject matter of what I'm talking about in the documentary. And in this documentary, especially, we're going after a slew of really high up people in politics, people involved in government. I mean, it's pretty intense this time around. And so, but anyways, I'm just putting that out there that I do like to thank those that, do support these things. And, some people give $5, some people even give a couple of bucks. I've had them have had someone give even $3 before, and still helps. If all of the people that watch End Times Talk consistently gave $1 a month, just $1 a month, I would have everything I need and wouldn't even have to ask. But that's not the case in the way that YouTube works and all this stuff works. And I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for, if someone feels led by the Lord to help finish these big projects and to help End Times Talk keep doing things the way I do on StreamYard. If the Lord leads you, man, we sure could use the help. So putting that out there. But I'm out of here, man. I thank you guys so much. And I pray blessings over y'all. Y'all mean the world to me. And I hope that you guys have a blessed day. And please stay cool and stay hydrated. It's super important. May God bless you all. May he keep you. And please don't forget to go out and change this world in which you live.